also mentioned frustrations among farmers with the president's trade policies. Well, today, the New York Times' Paul Krugman called it the frauding of America's farmers, writing, farmer support for Trump should be seen as a form of affinity fraud in which people fall for a con man whom they imagine to be someone like them. And as is often the case in such frauds, the con man and his associates actually have contempt for their marks. Joining us by Skype from his North Dakota farm is Bob Kuylen, a wheat farmer who says he's lost $400,000 since Trump took office. Beautiful piece of property you have there, Bob. What's been happening with your business?
Well, we lost pretty much all of our markets since Trump took over. He's dropped out of the TPP. He got rid of NAFTA. I raise a lot of wheat on my farm, and the Pacific Rim countries, they like high-protein wheat, and that's what we raise here. So being the market is low, ever since last year at harvest, this time I sold wheat for $5.70. The market today is $5.82. There used to be up to $1 bonus on protein. From 12 protein to 17, there'd be $1 spread. Right now there's 5 cents. So we raise a lot of high-protein wheat, so we're just about taking a $2 hit from last year, $2 to $3 hit, and we're about $70 to $75 an acre we're losing by harvesting a little bit above average crop right now.
So how do you keep going?
Well, older guys like us, we built up equity all our lives. Most farmers are land rich and cash poor. So we'll take out loss loans and stuff against our land and go backwards on the land that we paid for. But there's a lot of young farmers out there that don't have equity, and I worry about them because they're not gonna be able to withstand this. One of my young neighbors told me the other day, he said if his banker said if wheat isn't $4.50, there's gonna be a bloodbath this fall. So it's not looking good for farmers at all. I know we're getting some payments coming in here. Where I'm at, we're going to get like $15 an acre, so that's going to still put me at a $60 an acre loss.
Wow. You did not vote for President Trump, you told us, but polls show he does still have some support from the farming community. But are you sensing in the people around where you live a change, a shift?
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him, but it's going to get to the point where financially, if it's between supporting the president or losing your family farm, this is something we've had in our family for 4 generations, and I know there's families with 5 or 6 generations on the same farm. If they're going to lose that, I think they're going to lose their loyalty really fast.
Well, Bob Kuylen, we wish you well. It is one of the great American resources is the family farm. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Clarence Page, what do you say to that? He's saying there could be a bloodbath.
Indeed. You know, because of this current crisis, I learned that Illinois leads the country on soy production. I didn't realize that, but Illinois is a manufacturing state and an agricultural state, and we're seeing the same kind of reaction in downstate Illinois as a result of this current crisis. Nobody really knows where this current trade war is going to go. Trade wars are a dangerous matter to get into, and President Trump is doing all he can to make it look good, but people are feeling the pain out there, and that doesn't help anybody.
No, it does not. Clarence Page, thank you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.